Imagine checking your bank account tomorrow morning and seeing an extra $4,500 already loaded and ready to use. For millions of Americans depending on Social Security, SSI, or SSDI, that kind of deposit could make a huge difference. This isn't just wishful thinking or another headline designed to grab your attention. It's connected to real updates coming out of Washington that have seniors across the country asking, is this actually happening, and does it apply to me? Here's the situation. The Social Security Administration has been in the spotlight once again because of reports about large, one-time deposits, some as high as $4,500, that could soon hit bank accounts. If you rely on these benefits, you know every dollar counts, and the possibility of this type of payment is worth paying close attention to. But before you let your hopes run away with you, it's important to break down what's fact, what's rumor, and what the actual timeline looks like. Too often, seniors see eye-catching promises online that sound almost too good to be true, and unfortunately, many times that's exactly the case. But this time, the talk around preloaded deposits isn't coming out of thin air. It's connected to ongoing legislation and budget discussions designed to provide relief to Americans living on fixed incomes. That means there's a real reason to look closely and understand what's going on. So what does this mean for you? Could you really see $4,500 in your account as soon as tomorrow? Who qualifies for these payments? And just as importantly, what should you watch out for to avoid being misled by scams or misinformation? These are the questions we are going to answer, step by step. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear picture of where things stand, what this SSA Payday alert is really about, and how it could affect Social Security, SSI, and SSDI recipients like you. No hype, no gimmicks, just the facts, explained in plain English, so you can make sense of it all. Now that we've set the foundation, let's get into the heart of this SSA Payday alert and really unpack what it means. The idea of $4,500 showing up overnight in your bank account is powerful, and it's easy to see why so many people are talking about it. If you're living on Social Security, SSI, or SSDI, even a few $100s can change how you plan your month. So when a figure as big as $4,500 is mentioned, it naturally raises a lot of questions. What makes this conversation different from the rumors we've all seen before is that it's rooted in real discussions happening in Congress and among officials at the Social Security Administration. That's why it deserves a closer look, not just a quick glance at a headline. First, let's talk about how this kind of payment could come about. Social Security itself is a long-standing program designed to provide steady monthly benefits. It's not usually associated with large one-time deposits. But in recent years, we've seen examples where Congress has approved direct relief payments, especially during times of economic hardship. Those checks, sometimes called stimulus payments, were meant to put money in the hands of Americans quickly to help offset rising costs. The discussion around these $4,500 preloaded deposits follows a similar line of thought. With inflation still putting pressure on household budgets and seniors especially struggling to keep up with medical bills, food prices, and housing costs, lawmakers are under pressure to act. That's where this new proposal comes into play. The reports say that Social Security beneficiaries, including those on SSI and SSDI, could be eligible for preloaded deposits directly into their bank accounts. The use of the word preloaded is what makes this different from a normal monthly check. Instead of waiting for your regular deposit date, the idea here is that accounts could be credited automatically with this additional payment, meaning the funds would show up faster and without you needing to take any extra steps. That's a huge deal because speed is often the difference between keeping up and falling behind. For example, if you're already stretching to cover bills due this week, the idea of a deposit tomorrow could be the difference between paying on time or falling deeper into late fees. Of course, with news like this, the first thing people ask is whether it's real or just another headline designed to grab attention. And that's the right question to ask, because many times the truth gets lost in excitement. The fact is, there is a proposal being discussed, and it has gained momentum in the House. But it's not yet a done deal. For this to actually happen, the Senate would need to pass it, and the President would need to sign it. That means while there's reason for cautious optimism, there's also a need for patience. Nobody should expect $4,500 to magically appear without the final approvals in place. Still, the progress so far shows that lawmakers are paying attention to the struggles of Social Security recipients, and that in itself is worth noting. Another part of this story that people often overlook is the question of who exactly would qualify. If you're on Social Security retirement benefits, you're probably wondering if you're included. If you receive SSI or SSDI, you want to know if the payments would cover you as well. And if you're a veteran receiving benefits, you may be asking the same. The way the bill is written, the focus is on Americans who depend on these programs as their primary source of income. That suggests that most, if not all, recipients in those categories would be included. But again, the exact details matter, and until the final language is approved, there's no way to say with certainty whether everyone will see the same amount or if there will be limits based on income or other factors. Let's also talk about why this matters right now. Seniors and disabled Americans are facing rising costs across the board. The cost of living adjustment, or COLA, for this year did provide an increase, but for many people, it didn't feel like much once inflation and new expenses were factored in. Prescription drugs continue to rise in cost, grocery bills are higher than ever, and housing is becoming harder to afford, especially in cities. When you're on a fixed income, those increases hit even harder. That's why the idea of an additional $4,500 payment isn't just about extra spending money, it's about catching up, staying afloat, and avoiding the constant stress of financial strain. It's worth remembering that Social Security was created to be a safety net, a way to provide stability in retirement or when disability prevents someone from working. But the program was never meant to be stretched as far as it is today. Many Americans rely solely on their monthly check, and that check often doesn't cover all the bills. Lawmakers know this, and in times of economic stress, they've sometimes turned to one-time payments as a way to ease the pressure. The $4,500 figure may sound high compared to past relief, but it reflects just how expensive life has become for the average senior. In a sense, it's an acknowledgement that smaller payments wouldn't go far enough. There's also the matter of how these payments would actually be delivered. Most Social Security, SSI, and SSDI recipients today receive their benefits electronically, either by direct deposit into a bank account or through a government-issued Direct Express card. That means if this proposal moves forward, the process of distributing funds could be relatively straightforward. Instead of mailing paper checks, which can take weeks, the government could preload the funds directly into accounts. That's where the phrase preloaded deposits comes from, and it explains why some reports are saying the money could hit banks as soon as tomorrow once the approval is finalized. The system is already in place, it's just a matter of authorizing the extra funds. But let's be realistic. Even if everything moves quickly, it's unlikely that every eligible person will see funds literally overnight. Government processes, while faster than they used to be, still take time. That said, the fact that preloaded deposits are even being discussed means the goal is to make the payments happen quickly, without the delays we've seen in past programs. So while it may not be tomorrow for everyone, the intention is that recipients won't be left waiting months. At this point, some people are asking whether these payments would affect other benefits. That's an important concern. If you're receiving SSI, for example, income limits play a big role in your eligibility. The fear is that an extra $4,500 could push someone over those limits and cause them to lose other aid, like Medicaid. Historically, when Congress has approved relief payments, they've written the law in a way that those funds don't count against other benefits. But until we see the exact language, it's wise to remain cautious. Nobody wants to see short-term relief turn into long-term loss of support. We also need to consider the bigger picture. Some critics argue that payments of this size could increase the national debt or strain government resources. Others say one-time payments are not enough, and what's really needed is a permanent adjustment to Social Security benefits so that they keep pace with the real cost of living. These debates will continue, but for the people living on fixed incomes, the immediate concern is simple. Can I afford my life right now? A $4,500 payment may not solve every problem, but it can provide breathing room, and sometimes that's the most valuable thing of all. Think about the possibilities. For someone juggling medical bills, this could be the chance to finally pay off outstanding balances and stop worrying about collection calls. For another person, it could mean fixing a car that's been unreliable, making it easier to get to doctor's appointments or the grocery store. For someone else, it might be the opportunity to stock up on essentials, giving peace of mind that they won't run out before the next check arrives. These aren't luxuries, they're necessities that make life more manageable. That's why the conversation around these deposits is so important, and why so many seniors are paying attention. At the same time, it's important to stay alert to misinformation. Whenever money is involved, especially government payments, scams appear. Already, some people may try to trick seniors into giving out bank details or personal information by promising to help them claim their deposit. Remember this: if these payments are approved, you won't need to do anything to receive them. The Social Security Administration and Treasury Department will handle distribution automatically. No phone call, no email, no special form will be needed. If anyone tells you otherwise, it's a scam. Protect yourself and your loved ones by staying informed and cautious. As we look ahead, the key takeaway is that this SSA Payday alert is based on real legislative action, not just rumors. But the process isn't finished yet. The House has acted, the Senate still needs to weigh in, and then the President has to sign. Only then will we know for sure how and when the $4,500 deposits will roll out. Until then, the best thing you can do is stay informed and be prepared. That way, if and when the funds arrive, you'll know exactly what to expect. So where does that leave us today? It leaves us at a crossroads. The possibility of $4,500 preloaded deposits is real enough to pay attention to, but not guaranteed enough to count on just yet. The good news is that momentum is building, and lawmakers are acknowledging the challenges facing seniors and disabled Americans. That's a sign of progress. And while the wheels of government may turn slowly, they are turning in the right direction. For now, the most important thing is to focus on facts, not rumors, and to understand that this discussion is part of a larger effort to support Americans living on fixed incomes. Whether the final number ends up being $4,500 or something different, the attention being given to Social Security recipients right now means your voices are being heard. And that, in itself, is a step worth recognizing.